When you light up, yeah, lights all over me.
What's going on? What's going on? We back on another Sunday of the Transition Talk Show. Man, I do have a special guest in the house today, but before I do introduce it, let me go ahead and let you guys know that the holidays are coming up. The next Sunday will be Christmas, and then the Sunday after that will be New Year's. So both those days we will not be doing the show. But we is going to go ahead and rock out today, man. Like I said, I do have a special guest that's in the house, Miss Natalie Burk. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Oh, I'm the person of the year?
Yeah, the last person of the year, man, yeah. I mean, and I think, it's, I really believe that it's a real good way to go out based off, a lot of the things that throughout the year that we had planned that people, might not know about that we get to talk about now.
Absolutely.
And actually in ways that we see ourselves being appealing to the community and how it looks with us trying to help and offer, new and innovative ways and things like that. So one of the biggest things I want to be able to talk about is the nonprofit that you're putting together. And then how do you see that playing out within the next year? Being that you done had a whole year, to sit back and go through trials and errors and go through, everything that leads to this point. So what did tell the people about, about the nonprofit?
All right.
Tell them about you first, then let's go into the nonprofit.
About me, that's a loaded question. So my name is Natalie Burk, and I am not originally from Dallas. I'm from, as you can see, Brooklyn, New York. And I came to Dallas by way of Phoenix, Arizona. I went to Arizona State University. I have my bachelor's and my master's in social work. So my background is like counseling, therapy. I work with the pregnant homeless population, with adolescent youth, at-risk youth. So just giving resources to the community. So social workers, for anyone who doesn't know, we're not people who are going to take people's kids every day. Because when I get that, I tell people I'm a social worker, oh, you don't want to be taking people's kids? No, we're not trying to take anyone's children. What we do is we give resources, and we want to help families stay together. So we enrich families, we advocate, we also, the track that I'm in is direct practice, children, youth, and families. So
right.
I'm able to do cognitive behavioral therapy, narrative therapy, play therapy. I'm trained in lots of different modalities of therapy, but after years and years of doing one-on-one, it's become a little, I don't want to say depressing or overwhelming, just to put in words. To be real, I'm just kind of tired of it, because it's hard to go leave your client and then not go home and wonder what they're actually doing, or if
right.
they're doing what you're saying, or if they're safe, or the things that you hear and see, a lot of times you can't unlearn it. So I love social work, that part of it, but I feel like it's time to, and it's ironic that the show is called TRAINsition. So I'm transitioning to do macro work, which is helping the community. So my organization, I have two. I have a for-profit called Well Enterprise, and WELL stands for Wellness, Education, Life, and Liberty, and that is my for-profit. So then the nonprofit is Well Athletic Development, where we develop athletes from sixth grade, fifth, sixth grade, all the way up to the first your collegiate level.
Right.
Athlete, even professionals. But right now we're focusing on the young adolescent and athletes, teaching them social, emotional intelligence, financial literacy, basically bridging the gap. Anything that an athlete would go to the left for, we want to kind of wheel them on in and bring them back on the right track, if that makes sense.
Right. And that's I guess that's big with me, you know what I mean? Shout out to Sock High School on another state championship, back to back. What's up to my son? Love you, my boy.
For the people who don't know who Sock is, tell my people who Sock is.
South Oak Cliff High School, you know what I mean? Shout out to South Oak Cliff, man, out there, Dallas, Texas, man, making history 2 years in a row, something that ain't never been done. Black coach, man, inspiring kids, motivating kids, getting them to that next level. by having an outstanding program. And it's just good to be able to see these kids be able to live their dreams, but also understand that there are things like this in place for athletes that's young, that's youth, you know what I mean? They want to steer them in a direction that they can live their dream, but also be able to flourish their dream because of their own cognitive knowledge in which they have and somebody supporting those things in those areas. So that's real big, to be able to do and to have somebody that works with their mindset. A lot of these athletes come from, low income areas, and that's normally what we used to seeing. So you have to begin to see how that really looks when you already had this mindset that I want more, but I wanted more because I feel like I came from less. Mm-hmm. I feel like I had some sense of lack, but not understanding that there was never a lack. That's why you was able to do and achieve as much as you have right now. But being able to be around those that are able to guide you and to train you, in your mindset in a way to strengthen you to be more than just an athlete. So that's real powerful. What about them? Tell me a little bit more about the for-profit.
The for-profit is for anyone who really doesn't want to play sports.
Right.
So giving them basically the same resources, except they can be adults. Could be anyone else that is not in like high school sports or AAU. Anyone that's not playing sports, you can come in, get like the key word you said, supportive services. So people right now, especially after COVID, it was a thing before COVID because I started this program in 2019. Right. And I've been working on it actually since 2017. So the nonprofit is for the youth and the that play sports, and the for-profit is for youth, adolescent, adults, anyone else except that does not play, right? That's not engaged in any sports.
And there's a lot of other things that you do, there's, I believe it's catching a wave, but it's not a wave, and that's when it comes down to really developing people mentally and spiritually. And what does that actually look like? But, man, before we jump into that, we are going to go to a quick video. And also, man, y'all can call in. The number is 469-708-8609. Again, that number is 469-708-8609. Y'all can call in. We'll be right back.
Hey, where to go?
What's up, dirty baby?
We on their ass like back pockets.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Plus, you cold.
I got the bread, she got the butter. That what these bitches can't touch us. I got the bread, she got the butter. That what these bitches can't touch us. I got the bread, she got the butter. That what these bitches can't touch us. All the real niggas still rooting for me cause they love when I flex. I just be taking what I want, I never beg for respect. Plus my country conversation always turn to a check. I got a stallion, couldn't settle for that donkey with Shrek. I tried to let you niggas make it, now my foot on your neck. I'm about to lead you to the legend, push you over the edge. Recognize blue and black, be the flag that I pledge. But I'm married to bloody married, so I match with the red. Hold up right quick, I'ma switch it up. I know you niggas get sick of us. Dirty look good, but that butter goes. So these bitches be tryna fuck up for us. Hold up right quick, I'ma slow it up. Won't let us sink cause we know too much. Pistol right here by my dick and nuts. If you keep fucking my dick, I'ma throw you up. We in our own goddamn lane. Y'all on some sucker shit. Make us shoot up this whole goddamn thing. Nigga, we on some other shit. Steady talking about gang. Well, you know you can't fuck with this. Cause we kicking ass and we taking names. So stay in your lane. I got the bread, she got the butter. That what these bitches can't judge us. I got the bread, she got the butter. That what these bitches can't judge us. I got the bread, she got the butter. That what these bitches can't judge us. I got the bread, she got the butter. That what these bitches can't judge us.
I ain't never stood for no fuck shit and don't jump ship for no change. My integrity can't be compromised. I'm a big dog, I'm a dang. Big everything from your handshake to your body language gon' speak. If you got beef, bitch, cook it up. Fuck slick dissing with a sneak. Don't let your nigga get you smashed on. Fuck disregarding no pass on. That dry hating gon' get a bloody. Put a plug in or put a pad on. Big B's and that's big biz. Black, show these niggas what it is. 5-star, got a 6 with me just in case you niggas wasn't listening. Hood legend, not fabricated. Game water, this saturated. Who the fuck left the gate open? These pissy boys got me aggravated.
sucker shit. Make us shoot up this whole goddamn thing. Nigga, we on some other shit. Steady talking about gang, 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 gang. Well, you know you can't fuck with this. Cause we kicking ass and we taking names. So stay in your lane, stay in your lane. I got the bread, she got the butter. That what these bitches can't judge us. I got the bread, she got the butter. That what these bitches can't judge us. I got the bread, she got the butter. That what these bitches can't judge us. I got the bread, she got the butter. That what these bitches can't touch us, no.
When you light up, yeah, lights all
We back, man, on the Transition Talk Show, and I am your host, Train, and I have my guest in the house, man, Natalie Burk. What's going on? We gonna pick back up, man, like I was saying, that it's real cool to see somebody that, you know, that does the work on top of the table, you know what I mean, and helping people in the community and see a need and a cause, but also going over and beyond, and also, you know, stepping out there on a limb of faith and being able to also, you know, open up platforms to help people on the spiritual base and on the spiritual level and allow people to help them grow inside, you know. So let's talk a little bit about that, because I know last week, host, we was, you know, with 94 Baby. Me and him had came back in communication through you. And it was through like this, I don't want to call it a prayer line, you know, because it was Zoom, but you know,
morning empowerment call.
There you go. A morning empowerment call. Man, how did you formulate that? And to be able to get so many people that, you know, that was tuned in, that was needing that, you know what I mean, like that morning breakfast.
I'll just say the Spirit Most High. It started off with me, my cousin, and one of my homegirls in Oklahoma. Shout out to Rachel and Natalie. And they just call me every morning, and we would just we just start the day off with prayer and just speaking life into each other. And my friend was like, then I went to go get my hair braided in New York, and it's weird. So I was getting my hair braided. I was about to do a video for the governor of Arizona, and I don't know, for some reason I was like, I'm gonna go get I never met this hairstylist before, and I was like, I ain't gonna talk to her. I don't want to talk to nobody today. And as I'm sitting there, I heard a little voice inside say, tell her your testimony. So I began to tell her the testimony, and she goes, how come you're not on YouTube or Instagram Live or somebody? You need to be talking your stuff. Like, you're very inspirational. And I'm like, I hear that all the time now. Like, talking, I hate talking on camera. And so, honestly, I went home and still praying every day with my cousin and then my homegirl. And then they start adding people on, and we were like on FaceTime. Then it was getting choppy. It was too many people coming on. And I'm like, wow, this is really a need. So I decided to do a Zoom call, and then one person sending the link to their friends, like, you need to get on, you need to hear this. And I realized that, you know, in my darkest times, spirituality is what got me out and gave me the strength that I needed. And we try to do everything on the exterior. We gonna put makeup on. We want to get the best jobs, drive the flyest cars, live in the best neighborhoods. And you could do all of that and still feel empty inside. Yeah. So I realized that we have to build the people from the inside out. And working with youth, same thing, inside out. Working with homeless, working with anybody. If we look at the military, what do? They break you down to build you up. Yeah. So people already coming to you broke down. They need to be built back up. Right. So that's where that came from.
I think it's like a real, it's like a bad perception in which we have that allows us to see the world from one lens and not allowing us to be able to make a transition into another lens of being able to see, to allow us to see things from a different, you know, point of view. What I mean is, like, I was just having a conversation yesterday, and I was like, people see life as being human beings rather than being human.
That's deep.
You know what I mean? So when I began to understand that, you know, the human is the illusion. It's just the abattoir. But the being is everything that's real. That allows the abattoir to have our motion and our movement. Mm-hmm. And when we begin to start to see ourselves in that higher form and that higher light, but we begin to pour into that, then we begin to look at what the potential that we have to begin to see differently than what we already see now. It what allows me to be able to offer myself how I offer myself. It allows me to be able to work in a way that I work right now that was different from how I worked yesterday. Because yesterday I was all about being about a human being. You know what I mean? So now when I realize the experience is me being able to do it in this form, but I'm not this form. I can take many forms.
Facts.
You know, so when we begin to understand that and see ourselves better, then you begin to be able to do things in a greater content. You know, I said at one point I lived a high life, but I knew I was in a low. You know what I mean?
Illusion.
I knew that I was empty inside. You know what I mean? And I was chasing something that I would never, receive. I received all the material gain, but I never did receive myself. And it took me so far away from myself, even being locked up on multiple occasions, and even understanding in my mind I was willing to die for something that had no.
You better say that.
Nothing, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So now I say, man, I live for everything and understand what it means to live life and to offer life. And a lot of people don't even know what that even look like or what it feel like because we so, like I say, we've been so programmed that you will pass up on things that's naturally trying to feed into you properly because you're a candy baby. You're a toxic baby.
Kool-Aid baby.
You know what I mean? All this sweet stuff, not even realizing this was taken from you and not given to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to be able to see, man, and even for me to be able to work with people, within those like minds and in those concepts that see something different and better and say, man, I see the cause, I see the need, but I know that I have something to offer to be able to give a difference to that, and I want to present this to the world. And that's what developing these foundations and developing these nonprofits is actually about. And especially when you have the education and you can say, hey, I want to be out here in the suburbs and do all this, rather than saying, no, I'm gonna go down here where I know that, man, it's gonna be tough.
I want to go to the trenches.
You know what I'm saying?
Specialty. Because I've been there, right? Like, who better to? First of all, working with kids. So I was down at Oak Cliff one day at Fort Oak Cliff, and I love sneakers. Like, I'm a sneakerhead. So the CEO asked me one day, he's like, why you always come down here? Like, we giving out food boxes to, like, the poor people, and you come down here and fly every time. And I'm like, man, number one, I'm a representation of the Most High. You can't sit here and tell people God loves you, because we love to say that, right? And then you looking like who done it and why, right? Mm-hmm. The shoes is always a conversation. That's how I get to the kids, knowing how to reach them.
Right.
Kids always like fly sneakers. They want, even if they can't get it, they're attracted to nice things, right? I was like that when I was younger. So they're like, man, I like your sneakers. And then I get to talk to them. First of all, no kid's not, you coming up here looking like Mrs. Doubtfire or, like you ain't never been through nothing or nothing that I could identify you with. They're not going to open up and they're not going to talk to you. Now when you come looking like, oh, wow, I could tell you that I did it the wrong way to get these shoes, and now I'm doing it the right way to get these shoes. Which one you pick? They be like, you? Like, yeah, I done did a bid. They be like, you don't understand. I understand. I just don't look like what I've been through. Right. So the fact that I was able to make it through the trenches and through some of the darkest times, I was like, I'm never going to get up here and not come back down here and get the people. Because life, to me, is supposed to be like a ladder. Yeah. Right? So I'm not coming up the ladder. There's somebody holding my hand, and I'm supposed to take this hand and bring somebody else up the ladder. Yeah. And so because my son played sports, and when he was in high school, I did what I had to do. So, like, we didn't have to, like, raise money and do that because he always knew I had it. But as I was going through the transition from being the trap queen to going to get this, being legal and getting a legitimate education, I saw the need in so many other little kids I never paid attention to before. Like, these kids will come to my house, they like, Ty, you eating salmon and chicken every night? Like, this how you eat? Or he's like, I miss my lunch, Mom, and going to like a steakhouse and bringing him food, or to whatever restaurant he wants, but he knew like that he wanted not fast food, but like real food. And these kids did not even have meals. You know, they were eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches or not having nothing to eat. So I'm like, wow. And kids is getting locked up in high school because they going to sell weed because their mom's lights is getting cut off.
Right.
And now I'm like, I'm a social worker. That's an easy fix. Like, there's so many programs. They have rent and utility assistance. You know, your son or your daughter don't have to be the man or the woman of the house when that absent parent is gone. So as I sat there, I started paying attention to the needs of the community that which I come from, and that I saw my son was blessed that he didn't have to go through a lot of that stuff. Because even when I was locked up and I did my bid, he was blessed to have a pastor and his family take him in, and extended family look out for him and things like that. But everybody don't have that story.
The crazy thing is, I heard you when you said it, and I even heard the pause. So it's like, to understand, even being a woman or being a man, but to say I've done time, but not even to be able to just say I've done time. Then, you know, I was labeled as being, you know, someone who was trapping. You know, this is lived experience, and my lived experiences is what got me to have the experience that I'm having today. But sometimes we shun on that. Sometimes we treat that like shame. Sometimes we look at that like, man, you know, there was a low in my life when actually it was a high in my life. And I remember when we had a talk, and I was telling you, like, man, you know, the way that you were that got you there is who you are. But it's the transition that's within yourself to be able to now be who you are and operate the same in a new way. You know, because if I don't, I'm not being me. I got to take my experiences and work through my experiences in my life, because that what got me. I had them for a reason. I can't take that from me. I can't dislike me because society said I was ugly.
Yeah, that's like taking a
Society said I was a criminal. Society said I was a crook. Society said I was a killer. Society said I was a dealer. That's society, but who do I say? And who do I know me to be? You see, like, some of these things wasn't, if I had my choice, I would have never did some of the things I did. So it wasn't my choice. It was my call. Just like this is my call. And it took for that in order to get me to the fullness of that, you know what I mean? So I can be a better at that, because I have now something to offer that's genuinely me. You have something to offer that's genuinely you. Your story is a story, man, that transforms many. Because many can relate, but many can't relate. But the outcome is something that we all want to relate to. A success story, you know what I mean? Or, you know, just seeing somebody becoming more prominent, or being able to say, what I've been through, I don't look like. You don't see no number on my chest, you know what I mean? You don't see no stripes going down my shirt. Now, you see someone that looks as though they are what it is that they say that they're doing. But I had to go through something. I had to be refined in order that now I can offer, you know what I mean, the betterment of that, because, yeah, I have true experience. I've been where you at. There's so many people, you know, when you go into these schools and stuff, all they have is education. And they think because I'm so educated that I can tell you better about something that, man, I ain't never been in your situation. When it's somebody that's educated, but being in that situation, it even sounds different. It feels different. And the genuineness of that is what we lack in this society. You know, you got to realize we live in a cold world, because the heart is just something that's on pause. It's beating, but it's not living. It's on pause. And what we're trying to do is help people, man, take that heart off of pause, and then go into the abundance of that space to live it out. That takes people who actually have the experience and the know-how. You get what I'm saying? I mean, I'm gonna show you something. As long as I was in school, man, teachers was just teachers. They wasn't partners, you know what I'm saying? They wasn't somebody who I took serious, you know what I mean? Because I knew that, man, when I leave here, you going somewhere across town, but I'm finna go right through this alley, you know what I mean, and take a shortcut to the project.
My teacher told me I wasn't going to be nothing in 10th grade. He looked at me and said I was going to be nothing. He said, "You never going to amount to nothing." Like, so when you saying that, I totally resonate with that. Like, a teacher was a teacher. They weren't my heroes, the teachers. Yeah. I just knew I had to go because I had that crazy Jamaican mother that if I didn't get these grades, I was getting them hands. So I made sure that I did what I had to do.
Yeah.
And, but we need more people. And I don't want to say that I'm not anybody's hero, but I do know that I could relate and I provide hope to the people. And we should have people that are looking, that our children could look up to, that they resonate with.
Yeah.
Like when I went to Arizona State University, there's no representation. I had one African American, one black professor. Everybody else was Caucasian. Nobody looked like me. And that one lady, she was like, "You're going to get a master's." And I used to be like, "No, I'm not. I'm done with this bachelor's. I'm a single mom, XYZ." And she kept riding me. And I realized, just kind of like a parent, the person who rides you the most, they really care about you. Because people who don't say nothing to you, they don't really care. So when I'm done talking, it's like a relationship, right? When you're not talking no more, you're pretty much done. You're pretty much done. You don't care anymore. But when you're talking, you still have that care and that concern. So that's what I really do care for the people. I've seen so many kids that my son grew up with that they even went to the left because of the opportunity. Nobody took that extra time and that's why I'm really passionate about giving youth support that they need. The support will take you a long way. If you have somebody you know that you could trust, that has your back, and that's what this organization, Well Athletic Development, is to do. Will not only develop, but give that support. So you need rent and utility assistance? Come on over. We got you.
Yeah.
We're going to help you with that rent. However, the buy-in is you're going to have to take some mental health classes and assessment. You know, there's something that you have to do. We're not just giving out handouts. We're giving hands up, like I said, to help elevate you up. So you need help with rent or utility assistance. We should be able to provide that. You need help with SAT training, even the fees. A lot of people don't know, even to register with the NCAA so that your child could go to a D1, D2 college, you have to pay a fee for that. So if I got to pay my light bill and little Johnny over here needs money for the NCAA, he might miss that whole opportunity because we got to pay the rent.
And that's even crazy because you look at now, like, especially in Texas, man, like football is real big, right? So you got to look at the levels that it started. They start these kids out like at 5 and 6 years old, and then they play all the way up. But you got to pay for them to be able to play when they're not in public school, you know what I mean, or even private school. So you got to look at when you're saying like, hey, we help them so they can continue to get the true development that they need. But it's not just solely free, but it's affordable, you know what I mean, and it still is a necessity, you know what I mean, and it's needed. So that's real big to be able to have a program that's uniquely out here like that actually focus on the child, but not only the child mental, state,
child.
but the fullness of that child, that it can really have the full potential of what they can naturally be. So, man, I applaud you on that. We're going to be right back. We're going to go to the second video, and we're going to come right back talking with Natalie Burk.
911, where's your emergency?
Someone just got shot.
There a gun still there? The person shot still there?
I can't see one.
Someone just got shot right in front of us.
You guys need to come. Like, you guys need to get here now.
Look at the murder rate. Look at the murder rate. Yeah. Hey. Look at the murder rate and you will see the hate. So I keep the stick so I can keep my place in this paper chase so I can stay laced in designer shit all in their face. Why do they hate? Why do they hate? Why do they hate? Why do they hate? Blue skies, blue water, red blood, red bottoms. Wonder why niggas hate. I'm just trying to raise my daughter on my grind in a 9 to 5. Keep it real, keeps it trill. On the stack, up mission. I want every dollar bill. Paper. I'm just trying to avoid the haters. Mad cause they on the field flow. I'm still going up on the elevator. Elevation, dedication, takes a lot of preparation. I'm so sick, getting tired of people saying it gets greater later. Fuck that, I want mine now. I want my motherfucking crown. I done shed some blood, I done shed some tears. I lost some homies, I done lost some pills. Hate at an all-time high, just wanna see my dogs out the cage, off the chains, spread the wings and fly again. Look at the murder rate and you will see the hate. So I keep the stick, so I can keep my place. In this paper chase, so I can stay laced. In designer shit, all in their face. Why do they hate? Why do they hate? Why do they hate? Why do they hate? Corruption by the government, lied about this COVID shit. Trump was a demon and y'all still voted him president. Coronavirus kills daily, intimidating my people of their safety. This the valley of death, police brutality. I'm supposed to love our enemy, the one that shoots and kills me. I can't breathe, rest in peace to all deceased. I got so many obituaries, my heart done turned numb now. It's World War III and Triple D, everybody got a stick now. Put down the guns, throw them hands, live to see another day. I can see the hate 5 miles away in these Cartiers on the freeway. Keep the stick, stay alert to be the next victim on a t-shirt. I ain't preaching to you, just keeping the trill. Wonder how I'd be if Davon was here. So many nights I done cried. Why my best friend have to die? I'ma keep my glizzy on my side. And the nigga with me gon' slide. Gotta live for the kids at the end of the day. They the ones that we hurt. Sitting 46 feet in the dirt, taking that long ride in the hearse. Look at the murder rate and you will see the hate. So I keep the stick, so I can keep my place. In this paper chase, so I can stay laced. In designer shit, all in their face. Why do they hate? Why do they hate? Why do they hate? Why do they hate? Hey.
When you light up, yeah, lights on.
We back on the Transition Talk Show. We're in with my special guest and a good friend, Natalie, man. When we went to the break, man, we had got a question that came in and someone had wanted to had asked, what's some advice that you would give somebody like right now that was actually going through a moment of right now, a struggle? Like, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, don't make the moment the whole. Don't put a period at the end of that moment. Note it, put a comma on it. And then add whatever it is you want to see after it. Note it, like, nothing we go through, like you were saying before, is all part of your journey. Like, everything that we go through works together for us. Every single thing. When I tell you that, like, I'm saying this from experience. I've been through domestic violence, being a single mom, being locked up, being robbed, attempted kidnappings, like, just some of the craziest things. And you'd be like, why, is this happening to me? You got to understand, like, it's not happening to you, it's actually happening for you. And you might not be able to see and understand in that moment why you're going through it, but just dig deep inside. You don't never know what's really in you until you go through something. You don't know what you're made of until you go through it, right?
Right.
So everybody could say what they would do, what they wouldn't do. You don't know till you go through it. So on the back of my business cards, I write, you were given this life because you're strong enough to live it. So if that thing came to you and whatever it is that you're going through, change the lens. Like we talked about that earlier. Yeah. Change the lens on which you see it through. Is it through, like, if you're driving through this, when you're driving or you're outside in the sun, you're going for a walk, right? And you don't have your sunglasses on or a hat, that sun will tear, especially in this Dallas heat, any sun. Yeah. But in Dallas, it's humid. That sun will tear your eyes up, right? But if you're walking and you have on a pair of sunglasses or a hat and some sunglasses and a bottle of water, you good. Did the sun change? The sun never changed.
And
So
that's is dope, you know what I mean, to even hear you say that. And I say that because, like, you went through an incident not too long ago, you know what I mean, that was challenging. And to even be able to see you stand right now, you know what I mean, past, you know, something that could have been detrimental to what it is that you're looking to try to do in life. But it didn't shake you, you know what I mean? It molded you and it to become like it's like a new elevation, you know? And it's crazy because, man, I've been there. I remember I was like 23 years old and I had a slight stroke. You know, I remember
you said
how
you
it felt.
had what?
I had a slight stroke when I was 23.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I remember, man, everything that I went through, you know, feeling by myself, hiding myself, because I was in the streets, you know what I mean? Like, and at 23, I was real wild, you know, and anything could have happened, so I didn't want to show myself. And,
Expose the vulnerability.
yeah, you know, and it was like only one person who I allowed to get close enough to see me at a stage that I wasn't comfortable, you know, but I needed help. And I wasn't a person who never knew how to call it, you know, and say I need help.
So I like that you said that. So, like, back to that question real quick, I just want to finish that off with what you just said, acknowledging that. So, like, that's the main thing. Like, we like to, especially as Black people, or just let's just say the culture right now, is there's no room for failure. So we be like, something happens, and we say, it's all good. I'm good. No, it's not all good. Sit in that thing, whatever that dark moment is, and accept that it's crappy, right? This don't feel good. This whatever it was, they stole, they lied, they betrayed me, I'm lost, took a L, whatever it is, this don't feel good. Acknowledge it and then release it.
Yeah.
And change, like I said, put your sunglasses on, right? Put your protective barriers on so that you could weather and deal with that thing. Because you got things on the inside of you, you just don't know you have them because we don't like to feel. We like to mask the feeling with, if it's drugs, sex, alcohol, or just escaping, Netflixing all day because we don't want to feel the pain of what we're actually going through. But the pain has a purpose.
Yeah. And that's crazy that you said because, man, I'm a firm believer that, I mean, there's two types of sights. You know what I mean? I can physically see, and then I can instinctively see.
Facts.
But in order to see with my instincts, I have to be willing to feel. I have to be willing to know my feel fully, you know what I mean, to be able to even understand feels and how they come and how they go. That I'm better within myself, even in the navigation of my life and where I'm going. Because there's many times that, you know, you can feel something that say, that ain't right. But I overlook that and I go walk right into it, you know what I mean, a dang on wreck. When it was already trying to prevent me from going there, but I'm not intuitive enough of myself. You know, and nor do I want to be because I want to trust these.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just crazy that you said because I truly believe that now we have an opportunity to be able, man, to teach ourselves on a greater aspect and on a greater level in order to have a better or a greater experience in life that no one can take from us.
I feel like that's what COVID was here to teach us.
Yeah.
The churches were shut down. You couldn't hear nothing from no outside sources. The schools were shut down. Everything was shut down, and you had to have that at least, well, I don't know, every state was different, but everybody had at least 90 days to sit down and be with self.
Yeah. And how you utilize that and how you occupied it. I can say, man, I still say from that, it was a good time for me because I was able to expand outside of myself. You know, even in that moment is even when I began to start to come up with, you know, with Power to People. You know, it's when I began to really just try to expand Train to Heal Charms. Everything that had something to naturally do with me inside, I began to start to see grow like beyond its measures outside. And even to this day, which has been 2 years now since that time, that they still, you know, are active and still growing. You know, a lot more have came, being able to like become a recovery coach in the same fields in which, you know, I once lived. But now I'm here in that same field, but now I'm actually helping people heal from these things. You know, and that's like that's the biggest thing to me is being able to offer change in the same places where you would a person who, you know, offered hell and death.
Yeah.
You know, and then to say, like, for me, I say add those. And I respect people that look at children and work with children, you know what I mean? But I say add those because I realize these children got to go back to the adults. You know,
And to take it a step further, a lot of the adults you're working with are really childlike. They're stuck in whatever age their trauma was. Most adults, like if you see somebody wilding out, they're not acting like a functional adult. If you really sit down and listen to some adults, they might be 35, 45, 50. They're like, oh, she always act like that. She been acting like that since 15. So now you got to go back and deal with the 15-year-old that's stuck in a place of trauma. So it's like, that's why I tell people, like, if I'm working with a grown athlete or a 12-year-old athlete, they're usually, it's the same work. You're working with the inner child, except that this one hasn't grown yet. So it's easier. I don't say easier. Yeah, it's kind of easier to work with a kid because they haven't really had, whatever trauma they had at 12, 13, 14, it could be horrible, but it's easily manageable. You can fix that. An adult now, they done had 77 different routes with trauma, and you got to, deduce which one at this current time that you have to actually work on. But back to what I was saying, it's just this. It's basically the same thing. You're working mental health aspect. That person is usually not a 45-year-old or a 32-year-old. You're like, man, he act like a little kid. It's probably a little kid in him that is acting up right now.
Yeah.
You know.
And I'm a firm believer in that. You know, I even go a step further and say that it's just past life rather than, childhood trauma. It's past life trauma, because a lot of these things go past your childhood.
Like that verbiage, yeah.
You know, because these things, the way that it got to you, somebody had to give it to you. It's generational, so it's past life. You know, and to be able to understand that, this is why I tell people, man, past, present, and future are the same. You know, it's how you perceiving it, but when you can see it wholly, you can do it in full.
I'm about to say, break that down.
Okay, like, life doesn't die. Shells die. How do I know this to be so? Is because how many people that, let's just say, passed away, right? Mm-hmm. That you have still had images of today. That you have still felt today. So life don't die. And every time when you see that, it presents a feel, right? A vibration, right? Mm-hmm. That's life.
Right.
Okay, so the past don't die. Here you are in present time. In your present time, most people operate past, present, then present, future. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yep.
Okay, so this means that, man, when I began to accept it in full and accept it in whole, it's something about that that's here, that's taking me there. But am I in likeness with that? Because I don't like it. I don't see it. I don't want to fool with it. But when I like me, I love me enough, I can do that because what this is, these are roots. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The roots, think about a tree. The roots is the one part of the tree you don't see.
Going nowhere. Mm-hmm.
But it's the one thing that allows the tree to have the most growth, right? Mm-hmm. And based off where that tree is grown at, what soil that it sets in, also teaches you how enriched that this tree can potentially be.
That's
so
a good analogy.
There is no such thing, you know what I mean? Because even when we leave from this shell, we're going back to enrich the roots. That's why we go back into the ground. So I can't be tripping, be mad, be messed up about these things. I got to be at one and at peace with these things. That it constantly presents the life in things that, man, we don't see death, we see life. So long as we keep on seeing death, you're going to always continue to see death as being the outcome of a black race or a black culture, black communities. Because this is what they exploit. Mm-hmm. You have to be the one to be able to show the life of it. That now, no matter what picture that they show, they can take from you or taint you or disrupt you, disturb you. It can do nothing but, man, motivate you, inspire you, and move you and constantly into that future. Because we realize it happened to men elevate, to men enrich. It didn't happen to men destroy or to hurt.
Yeah.
But this is how we see. And if I continuously see life as being as a human being rather than a being human, that essence of something you can't see is always first before it's something that you can see. But can I honor that?
That's a good question.
You know, it's like, I don't know, man. It was just something about me, you know, that I realized that a lot of things happened to me, man, because I wasn't willing to open my eyes and see.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who you are. If you start walking and you close your eyes and you keep them closed and you keep walking, you're going to bump something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's really the equivalent to walking with your eyes open.
Yeah.
Because how many people are really walking with their eyes open, always bumping into some shit, always getting into something, always somewhere where you say you don't want to be, and always talking about what you really do want but you ain't never had.
Because they blind and happy.
You blind to it.
They're blind. No, they blind and they happy. So a lot of people are happy being blind. Because
Yeah.
it's uncomfortable when I have to see the truth. It's
Yeah.
uncomfortable. But you can't grow without in comfort. Nothing grows in comfort. You could never grow in comfort. Even when, kids, remember when my son was growing, he was had a growth spurt. He's in pain. Gotta take him to the emergency. I gotta go to the emergency room. No, you don't. I already knew what was going on. But I took him to the doctor. The doctor said, he's experiencing growing pains. You're growing. You're going to experience some pain. So, and if you get comfortable, that's a lot of times we get too comfortable and not realizing when the whirlwind or the storm happens in our life, it's really there for growth. Because if you put a seed in the ground, seeds are in darkness, right?
Yeah.
And then when they're transformed, you need the rain, you need the storm, you need the change of the weather, you need a shift to take place. So that like the rain, the farmers love when it's raining. If there's no rain or no
crop,
storms,
yeah.
there'll be no growth. And so it's the same thing in our personal lives, right? It's when the storms come, you just like, what is this trying to teach me? That's what I ask myself. So I look at it from a different lens. Like, this is not here. Even the other day, like they said a mini stroke. And I was sitting there, I couldn't see. My whole right side just like went dead. And I ended up in the hospital for like a whole week and had to go through all this rehab. Then I went blind in my eye. And I'm like, I got too much things to do. The devil is a liar. Like, it just did, like, nope. And for a hot second, I just sat there like, this is happening. This doesn't feel good. What am I going to do about this? Figure out what they're saying. And my mind, though, is going to tell me I'm getting out of here. First thing I got to do is get out this hospital room that looked like a jail cell.
Right.
So I could see some light and see some life, right? Because it was dark and it was gloomy. And I got out and I'm here today, and it hasn't even been 60 days. So as you were saying, like, that's a blessing. So I'm going to look at this as a blessing. I'm not going to keep talking about what happened. What could I do today to be better? And you told me something the other day. What could you do today that could increase 1% of your life? A lot of times, especially with social media, we trying to go from 0 to 1,000, and we want to skip the process in the middle. That's a part of the growth. That's a part of the pain is the process. The process don't ever feel good. And that's what I feel like if I can get through to the youth, the things I learned at like 38, 30, in my 30s and my 40s, if I can get it to these youth at 12 to 16 years old, we're going to have some powerful young men and women in our community.
I think that's something that's actually, needed, because one thing that I have learned is that children help adults become better adults.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Children help adults become better parents, become better guardians, become better guides. It's just something about something that not just needs you, but rely on you, or count on you. So you have the offering to be able to pour into. And how you pour is going to be a reflection back to you. So, children are something that really enhance us.
For sure.
So it's good when you want to see early, the stages of that child being something that's worked on to make them, when they're older, greater than what it was, when I learned.
Yeah, that's I love to hear you say that, because a lot of parents, don't want to learn from their children. Like, I told my son early, like, listen, I'm learning like you. I never had a kid before. I don't know. And we going to learn together. There is no handbook on this thing. I ain't going to try to act like I know everything. And when I make mistakes, I tell him sorry.
Yeah.
Early, like, since he was a little kid, I'm sorry. I don't know. I didn't know. I was doing the best that I could. But you know what? I could see that I was wrong, and I'm sorry, and we going to do better.
That's crazy. I was playing, man, making up an old country song, just saying I don't know. Like, but you know, I was like, I don't know, but I would give you, you know, I would try to do the best that I can. Mm-hmm. Even though I don't know, I still try to do the best that I can. Mm-hmm. You know, so I mean that's important to be able to admit it, because that's how you get better.
Yeah.
You don't get better thinking that I know it all. You know what I mean? We are some know-it-alls, but we don't know it all.
Not at all. And not this parenting thing. Anybody who know it all, please come holler at me. 'Cause my son's 23 and I'm still trying to figure. You think like, oh, they have age. He's 21. Nah, you still like, it's a journey for both of us. And it's like you said, as I'm learning with him and he's learning, I'm watching him grow. Yeah. I'm growing as well.
Yeah. And I think they are the new information banks.
What?
Because they're the closest thing to this universe, you know what I mean? They're the closest thing in this realm to the universe, which means that they're the most purest thing without all the covering, without all the masquerades. Mm-hmm. So what they say is still a tad bit genuine.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? To somebody that I'm going out here knowing that half they saying is a lie anyway, because it's made up with something. You know, so it's like to be able to really see that and to pour into that.
And they know technology.
Yeah, they come out knowing it.
They come out and like at 2 years old could tell you how to work the whole iPad, what the FaceTime do. You could do, it's imperative to keep youth around older people. Like we should be teaching them, but also knowing and never blocking off the fact that they were put in our lives to teach us as well. So like,
yeah, they come with the new information.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're gonna be right back, and we're gonna go to this last video, and then we're gonna be right back.
Gonna hold it, yeah, I'm 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 gonna hold it. 30, kill the beat. All I do is shot by billions. When I'm spitting what I'm living, he gon' show you so you feel it. Full up, give it to me, Chevy gon' bang. Stay in your lane, when you wanna hard, I'ma rap my game. I'ma swing, I'ma swing. Full up, give it to me, Chevy gon' bang. Stay in your lane. When you wanna holler, I'ma rap my game. I'ma swing.
Pull up, give it to me, Chevy gon' bang. Whip stay clean, here to stay in your lane. When you wanna holler, I'ma rap my gang. I'ma swing. Pull up, give it to me, Chevy gon' bang. Whip stay clean, here to stay in your lane. When you wanna holler, I'ma rap my gang. I'ma swing. Pull up, give it to me, Chevy gon' bang. Whip stay clean, here to stay in your lane. When you wanna holler, I'ma rap my gang. I'ma swing. Pull up, give it to me, Chevy gon' bang. Whip stay clean, here to stay in your lane. When you wanna holler, I'ma rap my gang. I'ma swing. Back on the scene, I'ma swing. When I pull up that B-Sweet gang, we set the bar and the damn thing change. But the pain and the reels on the screen stay lit. You getting mad over you, don't trip. All about the cash, I stack, I flip. Get out the gas, stay off my tip. Been on the grind as my homeboy clip. Texas made, man, we got them whips. Chevy shaking high, gotta watch for them dips. Beat so hard, so you know where it kill. Turn the bass to the max, vibrate the whole whip. I just might swing down for the 5 style. I just might swerve my way to the knob. This from people that love them cars. Had to drop another so you know who we are. Pull up, give it to me, Chevy gon' bang. Whip stay clean, here to stay in your lane. When you gonna holler, I'ma rap my gang. I'ma swing. Pull up, give it to me, Chevy gon' bang. Whip stay clean, here to stay in your lane. When you gonna holler, I'ma rap my gang. I'ma swing. Pull up, give it to me, Chevy gon' bang. Whip stay clean, here to stay in your lane. When you gonna holler, I'ma rap my gang. I'ma swing. Pull up, give it to me, Chevy gon' bang. Whip stay clean, here to stay in your lane. When you gonna holler, I'ma rap my gang. I'ma swing. Chevy sitting high, I swing with it. Top of my class, I'm cold with it. Beat so hard, they swerve with it. Shut down the street, we showed did it. recap, show us who we are. I put sit down, I'ma rap my squad. Hot wheels, we got all of them cars. Cops pull up, we ain't broke no laws. Different colors, crayon box. 32s and some got shots. Flat screens, ain't no room in the trunk. Old school, I'm in love with dunk. My homeboy paint gon' flip 3 times. Wait your time, don't break this line. Car show, yeah, my team gon' shine. I'ma swerve, I'ma swing, I'ma swerve, I'ma swing.
Everything we shit, we gon' bang. Oops, stay clean, hit the stage in your lane. Independent by the holic, I'ma rep my game. I'ma swerve, I'ma swing, I'ma swerve, I'ma swing. Everything we shit, we gon' bang. Oops, stay clean, hit the stage in your lane. Independent by the holic, I'ma rep my game. I'ma swerve, I'ma swing.
Pull up, give it to my Chevy gon' bang. Whip stay clean, here to stay in your lane. Been there going hard like I'ma rap my gang. I'ma swerve, I'ma swing, I'ma swerve, I'ma swing. Pull up, give it to my Chevy gon' bang. Whip stay clean, here to stay in your lane. Been there going hard like I'ma rap my gang. I'ma swerve, I'ma swing, I'ma swerve, I'ma swing. Pull up, give it to my Chevy gon' bang. Whip stay clean, here to stay in your lane. Been there going hard like I'ma rap my gang. I'ma swerve, I'ma swing, I'ma swerve, I'ma swing. Pull up, give it to my Chevy gon' bang. Whip stay clean, here to stay in your lane. Been there going hard like I'ma rap my gang. I'ma swerve, I'ma swing, I'ma swerve, I'ma swing.
Swerve, swing, 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 swerve, swing.
Da, 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 da. When you light up, yeah, lights all over.
All right, we back, man. That was a video from one of my good partners, DJ Oreo. Man, what's going on to you, man? Appreciate being able to help you guys out here, man, and be able to allow y'all to have a platform that you can be able to get your music out and get your music heard. Any of you indie artists that's out there, you know, if you looking for a place, man, where you can come, you can talk about your music, you want to be able to just be able to get it out to the people, man, just hit us up, you know. You can hit me on the email at Transition Talk Show. Well, it's transitiontalkshow@gmail.com. And you can get that to us, man, and we'll be willing to help you guys however that we can. I'm in the studio right now. Again, if you guys just now tuning in with good friend Natalie, tell them again, man, you know, about your nonprofit and your for-profit.
Nonprofit is Well Athletic Development, wellathleticdevelopment.org. And my for-profit is Well Lifestyle, where we teach social, emotional intelligence. We focus on mental health, give resources to athletes and their parents.
And then I can't let you get away with it. You know what I mean? You do have something that I don't know if you're still doing right now, but it's very powerful. And the people who want to be able to chime in and get in on, I call it the Morning Breakfast Club. You know what I mean? You know, but it's a morning empowerment. You know, let them know about that, man, and how they can probably be able to reach you and how they can get at you and be able to follow you, man, and just, you know.
Well, my Instagram is Nat Mogul, and the empowerment call, I put that on the table. We will be resuming back probably the first week in November. So I normally start every morning at...
My November 2023?
23. No, not November. I mean January. See?
All right.
My bad. So January, the second week in January, 2023, I'll be back on. We usually do a Zoom call, and I'm thinking about free conference. I don't know how we're going to do it, but tap into my Instagram. I'm not really usually on Facebook, but my name is Nat Mogul on Instagram, NatMogul, and I'll probably be putting a link up. And
okay.
Yeah.
And you can send me the link, and then we'll put the link. We'll make sure that we have the link out on the platform just as well, so they can be able to reach you and reach out to you, and just follow you, man. You know, and man, be around people, man, who trying to pour into other people. You know what I mean? Because
Definitely.
if you're trying to do it, you need something poured into you just as well. You know, in order for this thing to actually be something that works. You know, that's what for me. That's what it's all about, is being able to help people connect with people. You know, and not just connect with people, but be able to connect with the right people.
Right. Definitely.
You know, too many times, man, we get discouraged because we done ran into the wrong people.
Yeah, now it's time to build alliances. I feel that we really need each other.
Yeah.
It's not the time. I know how it feels when you go into a dark time. The easiest thing, isolation.
Yeah.
I just want to be by myself. Man, they done hurt me. Go to that door closed for a reason. Go
But
on
you
to
know,
the next door.
I'm gonna change that because, man, I don't believe isolation is a bad thing. I think isolation is the place where you develop the most growth. But it's just being alone to where now, you know what I mean, you're beginning to hinder yourself because when you just sitting alone and you just treating it as alone time, now you inside of that space and not being able to create properly. Because now you're just thinking about lower vibrational things. Now you're thinking about all the hurt, all the pain, all the disregards, you know. But when you truly isolate yourself, you're doing it to empower yourself.
Right. You know, I'm talking about the unhealthy isolation.
Yeah.
It's like, when we take on, I don't know new friends. Like, nah,
Oh, yeah,
if you have the old friends was going to get you where you need to go, we be there already. So it's going to be some new people that you have to let into your lives to take us to the next level that have a piece of the puzzle to get you to the next steps of where you're headed on that journey.
Yeah. And that's dope, man. We're going to end the show right there. We done came down to the full hour. I appreciate you, man, for coming in. You know what I mean? Always looking forward to the work that we look to do. You know,
thanks for having me.
At any time. Y'all, again, we're not going to be here for the 25th nor the 1st. We'll be back after that. I think that is the 8th. So, man, you guys have a happy holidays. You know, who all is into that, who all isn't, just, you know, continue to enjoy your days and be safe. And, man, you know, keep tuning in to the Transition Talk Show. Share, click, like. You know what it do.
Da, 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 da. When you light up, lights all over me.